So today's video was going to be a deck tech on Retrieve Ira, but with them banning Zephyr Needle, I decided to put that one back in the bag until I can explore Kodachis a little bit more and have a better understanding of what post-ban Ira is going to look like. So for today's video, we have Cindra versus Arakni Slip Through the Cracks. Now, Slip Through the Cracks can do a lot of really dumb things. Kiss of Death and Toxicity is a heck of a combo. For anybody who doesn't know, if Arakni Slip Through the Cracks, or really any assassin for that matter, goes Toxicity into Kiss of Death, and then it hits, you get the Toxicity effect, which is a really good card to pair with Tarantula Toxin, because it's a great defense reaction that works on both sides of the reaction with Kiss of Death. Next, on the following chain link, you use Flick Knives to flick the dagger Kiss of Death at them, and Toxicity hits because it's until the end of the turn. So it's 5 loss of life, unpreventable, which is absolutely insane. It's such a good value play, and it's a really good way to close games. So we got to watch out for that. And on Cindra's side, we want to be using Spreading Flames, Wrath of Retribution, and pressuring them with Mask of Momentum as much as humanly possible, because the more they block, the less they can combo us. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed the match. All right, we're playing against Arakni Slip Through the Cracks, and we are going second. So the first attack with Stealth each turn gets go again, okay? So I wonder how much of the mark they'll be abusing here. It is turn 0, so we're going to block a little bit. I don't think we need both the Display Loyalty and the Demonstrate Devotion, so I'll keep the Display Loyalty. There's an easier chance that that works with what we're trying to do next turn. With 18 blues, there's a good chance that Demonstrate Devotion is just a 1 point better card if we have a blue. It just really depends on how our turn pans out. I do think I'm going to block with the Warmonger's Diplomacy, because the Salt the Wound blocks for 3 here and works as resources on this next turn. I feel pretty comfortable blocking with my blue. I will block 3. They're just really just peeling cards out of our hand here. And then they're going to save the last card for Arsenal. They start at 38. I did not know that that deck started at 38. That is honestly terrifying. So we can go Kunai, depending on how they block, into Demonstrate Devotion, and then we can make our other Fealty token, and then we can flick one of them, get one of them back, and then Arsenal the Ignite. I think this is a pretty fine play. Keeping the Display Loyalty really worked out, because if we had kept the Demonstrate Devotion, we would now just be in a situation where we had to decide. I guess we could use the Ignite and play out our entire hand, which would also be fine, but it just feels a little bit better this way, like not having to worry about the resources. Since they did not block, I'm actually just going to give Display Loyalty. Mask is already on the chain here for the first time, so we're threatening Mask Momentum at this point. They're not going to block at all. Okay, that's something I can safely say I did not see coming. So it's going to be Demonstrate Devotion. This is a terrifying hand. I am genuinely terrified of whatever they are up to over there. Drawing into the Lava Burst is a really good chain ender, and it still gives us a good card to Arsenal and Ignite. I like Ignite a lot. This is a card that I originally slept on a little bit, but I think this card's really good. Even with 18 blues, there are still some all red hands that you draw, and drawing into the Ignite has it's felt really clean with the cost reduction on it. I was like, I would be surprised if you're gonna block now. They are gonna block. Interesting. So they gave up Mask of Momentum to block there. The fact that they blocked with Leave No Witnesses makes me think that they have something here, like that they have another Arsenal disruption piece. Against Assassin, it seems very reasonable to me that they could have a multiple disruption pieces in their hand. So all right, so they fall down to 28. We get back one of our Kunai here, and we're going to Arsenal the Ignite and pass. This Dragon Power is looking really good. Honestly, this turn looks really good to be able to block with scalers, the flight path on something. Like this just looks like a really, really good turn here. So we have Dagger into Burning Blade Dance, and then we can flick to use one of the resources, and then it would be Ignite into Fealty Token with this on the stack, and then Dragon Power, Snap into Salt the Wound. Is a pretty good turn. It also depends on what disruption they throw at us. Our opponent could have a major piece of disruption here that really slows down our turn. Technically, they could do this. I think we have to take the chance that they can't. It would require Flick, Whispers, and a card from hand, so I am banking on the fact that they're not willing to go for it here. Okay, they are. They're just 1000% ready to throw down. I don't know why you would flick Spider's Bite at me. It's an interesting choice. Well, they didn't block with Black Tech Whispers, and this is a very early turn for them to get rid of a lot of the things they're getting rid of, so I'm going to call this a major W. They're probably going to take Burning Blade Dance here, if I had to guess. That's just the best card for them to take, in my opinion. It just works really well with what they're trying to do. I do really like the idea of still having a really solid turn, and potentially just being able to use Blood Splattered Vest this turn. Okay, so they did take the Dragon Power, which when we have 2 Fealty in play, makes a lot of sense. They're also going to get to take 3 of them out of my deck, which is really good. Okay, interesting. So I thought they would take the blue from my hand and 2 reds from my deck, but they ended up just taking 3 blues, trying to deny me resources the rest of the game. Interesting. That is really neat. Okay, so we have Kunai of Retribution. We have a couple of options here. We'll tell our opponent that we're thinking. We could go Ignite into Kunai, into Brand, into Burning Blade Dance, into Salt the Wound, get the daggers back. Or we could plan on throwing them again for Salt the Wound. I think I'm going to lead on Ignite here. We're just going to get the value out of being able to play all of our cards. Because although technically Brand does put us in a situation where we could throw 2 more daggers to try and actually get 4 more value, I really like the idea of being able to play this and then starting next turn with both of our daggers in play. That is more appealing to me, I think. Now, it could be wrong. We are not maximizing our damage potential this turn, but that feels like a good line to me. They may just block a bunch and we may end up arsenaling the Salt the Wound, which is also a reasonable play. So now it is Kunai of Retribution for free. They did block. They blocked with a Toxicity. Is that what that was? Yo, Toxicity. That's spicy. I've heard a few people talking about this and telling me that they really like this card. But I haven't really played Slip Through the Cracks yet. So I haven't really got to see the potential value of that card, but I've heard Toxicity is really cool. And that it's actually very viable now, which is nice because I have like all of the Toxicity promos from back in the day. They do take this. Brand does not have an on-hit effect, but it does put us towards our second Mask Chain Link, which is really nice. Okay, Shelter from the Storm. All right, so we're just going to end up arsenaling the Salt the Wound here, which is perfectly fine. I am completely okay with that. Shelter from the Storm after they blocked with a card. I'm really okay with this turn cycle. I really wanted to play Salt the Wound and try to get a lot of value. Also, pitching my blue would have been a disaster, so I'm glad I didn't do that. I am going to use the Flick Knives, and then we're going to activate Cindra to get both of our Kunai back, and then we're going to Arsenal Salt the Wound. We will take 2 down to 30, and we have a really, really, really powerful hand here. This hand is very solid. Hopefully we don't have to block with anything. If we do, it'll probably be the Burning Blade Dance if it's only one card that we're required to block with. We might give up the Salt the Wound if it's an Arsenal Disruption piece. from their hand. So I could block with the Burning Blade Dance, and then my hand would be Kunai, activate Felty token for Dragon Power, use Dragonscaler Flight Path for Go Again into Blaze Headlong. I could block with the Dragon Power here and lose out on that value. This is an interesting turn here, because we would block with probably one of our more powerful cards here. And then, no, I think this is a better play. I don't know, like we could, if we do this, we get to go Kunai into Burning Blade Dance, into Blaze Headlong. I really like this as a 1 for 7. This is a 0 for 4 versus a 1 for 7, and I think I like this better. Using the Dragon Power as just like, just red Dragon Power being like basically just a better flying kick is really cool. All right, so this is Kunai for 1. We are not going to use the Blood Splattered Vest. This is Kunai for 1. The cool thing about this is that if they let both of these hit, we actually have the ability to throw Dragon Power with Mask as a 1 for 7. That is really, really strong. Using a 1 for 7 to threaten Mask is incredibly powerful. So this is 7 on hit Mask. Red Dragon Power, this is exactly the effect I was hoping from this card. Now it is a one-time use, is not a chain ender, so that we can get value out of the Dragonscaler Flight Path here. Our opponent may be playing defense reactions. We haven't really seen any yet. I'm sure they're on Frailty Trap at the minimum against us. I take that back. We saw Shelter from the Storm. So they are playing some... They are playing... they are playing some defense reactions that we've seen so far. Opponent is thinking. Do I need to refresh? No, opponent's thinking. Okay, that's fine. That is perfectly fine with me. We're only going to have 1 dagger going in the next turn, which is fine. Like, I would rather have 2. There's always a risk of only having 1 going in the next turn, but it's pretty reliable that you can have 1 or both of them on the next turn cycle set up that way, just depending on how your turn shapes up. They're going to block with Mask of Deceit. Okay, well, I am marked, so they get to pick an Agent of Chaos, which is pretty cool. I haven't really seen... All right, so they pick Black Widow. I'm going to use this to give Go Again, because this is Draconic. This is Mask of Momentum. And then it's going to be Blaze Headlong for 4 Go Again. And this actually really works out because the Throw Dagger can potentially get us into another very powerful card here. It is optionally a good arsenal here, but I don't really like that play. I would much rather just be able to get both of my kunais back and draw an extra card. I'm not super interested in using that, to be honest. And then this is a 0 for 6 from Arsenal. So we have done a lot of damage to our opponent this turn, really put them far behind. I mean, I guess we could Arsenal this and just, like, you know, if something happens, something happens. Could be an okay line here. Like, we'll just get our daggers back. We'll Arsenal the Concealed Blade. It's possibly just a pump on the Mask chain, which is really good. So we have some options here. Like, having the Concealed Blade in Arsenal does also give us some protection. Yeah, this is a hard no blocks. We'll just banish the Stab Wound. But the Concealed Blade in Arsenal does give us some options as well to kind of play around some potential, like, dagger banishing cards they could have. I'm not really sure if our opponent's playing anything like Gravekeeping or anything like that, but it is something to keep in mind. All right, so Black Widow hits and we banish a card from hand. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and banish the Stab Wound here. We have a very, very good hand without the Stab Wound, and I would rather keep the Brand in my deck for second cycle. We fall down to 22, and Short of them having like a Frailty Trap here or a Shelter from the Storm, which are very, very plausible cards for them to have. We have a really good chance at trying to push Mask. So this is going to be Kunai of Retribution. And they go to 7. We're not going to use our chess piece. We're going to go Blood Runs Deep, which technically puts them to 5. I'm not going to use my chess piece here. This gives them the, like, if they block this here, which I think they will, this still gives us an opportunity to put them down lower, keep Mask of Momentum alive, and get both of our daggers back. We're not going to play the Concealed Blade here. There's no reason to. I am going to play the Rising Resentment. This is just a solid 3, and the Concealed Blade helps us come over the top here. This feels really good. Mask of Momentum into Mounting Anger. I think I'm just going to go ahead and re-equip my daggers. No reason to use the Concealed Blade here. I think I'm going to banish the Mounting Anger and make it cost 1 less. This is going to be Kunai of Retribution for 1. I am going to go ahead and use the Blood Splattered Vest to gain a resource. This is our other Kunai of Retribution for 1 here. We're not going to end with any daggers, but this is a really good turn from us. That was the last point of life that our opponent can give up. They're going to have to block with at least 1 card here. And if they don't block with an equipment, they're just going to go to 1 Inflict Knives is going to kill them. And at 22 life here on the 5th turn of the game, I feel pretty comfortable with our position. This has really been like a one-person show so far. We have really been running the pace of this game. And our opponent just dies there. I mean, on turn 4, we were able to threaten 21, and on that last turn, 17. So cards were looking pretty good, and everything came together well there. On my opponent's 2nd turn of the game, they hit me with an active Bonds of Agony and took Dragon Power out of my hand. And considering that I was playing 3 red Dragon Powers and 3 blue Dragon Powers in my deck, I think this was actually a really good pick. The fact that they took blues was an interesting choice. I assumed they were going to take reds to try and get some power cards out of my deck, but I'm a resource-hungry deck, and taking blues out of my decks is a really interesting call. Now, it didn't really pan out for them, but it could have been a really good decision and could have like really hamstrung me on some resources and put them in a good position to take tempo. Turn 4 was such an amazing turn, and we were really able to see the value of the fealty tokens with Dragon Power. Because my opponent didn't block either of the Kunais on the first 2 chain links, the Dragon Power came in for 7, which would have forced 2 cards and a piece of equipment, or 3 cards if they wanted to stop the Mask of Momentum trigger. And even if they did, we were just going to use our Flight Pass to give it go again, use Flick Knives to flick a dagger at them, and then throw another breakpoint. The Dragon Power was absolutely insane on that 3rd chain link, just being a better flying kick and giving us the ability to extend our turn and draw an extra card and set up for the next turn. There was actually a turn later in the game where my opponent played a Kiss of Death, and it did get some good value out of it, just like causing me to lose some life, but there was no toxicity combo paired with it, and there was no ability to like flick a dagger with the toxicity on hit afterwards, so there wasn't really much of a fear of them getting back into this game. I do want to point out that even though I was like over 20 towards the end of the game, with a really good combo turn, they could have very easily have won the game and just had enough unpreventable damage to where I had nothing to do but just simply die. So it's something to keep in mind that Arakni, or really any of the assassins, can just kill you out of nowhere, and keep that on your radar. It's also worth noting that although Dragon Power did look really good in our list, I have since cut that card and added Art of the Dragon Fire. This is a 1 for 5, and if it's Draconic, it deals 2 damage to any target. This is just a better version of Dragon Power. Dragon Power is a 1 for 7, and so is the Art of the Dragon Fire. But Art of the Dragon Fire is a 1 for 5 when it's not Draconic, versus Dragon Power is 1 for 4. And plus, the 2 damage that can't be prevented from the Art of the Dragonfire is really powerful, as to where Dragon Power can actually just have a 3-block in front of it and a sink below and cover it up. So we're like diversifying our threats a little bit better, and it's just always a better card to have Art of the Dragonfire in your list. Guys, if you see anything you think I missed, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys.